Hello, my name is Julie, and it was just my birthday, so I have some books to haul for you. I am now 25. Goodness gracious, how time flies. Let's just get straight into it. I have a mix of both audiobook and physical books, and I'm just gonna go in chronological order in which I got them this year. So we're gonna start off with my first audiobook I got, which was Blood Slaves by Marcus Redmond. This is the first a new historical horror series, which, it being a series, is exactly why I was so interested in this, and also that it fit for the buzzword prompt for January. This is set at the very beginning of American slavery in the colonial days, and we are at a plantation following a bunch of the people who are enslaved there. Almost all of these people are the age to have been stolen from their homeland during the transatlantic slave trade, rather than being descendants several times removed, like a lot of books that I've read set during slavery. And there is a creature that comes to them that is straight out of the stories they were told as children, who says that he can give them the ability to overthrow their oppressors. And this book is about the group sort of deciding what to do with that creature and how they want to proceed. This book is gory. This book actively tackles slavery. So every type of trigger is in this book. However, I thought it was accurate to slavery without being gratuitous about it, like the right amount. But I think a lot of people's complaint about this book is that they thought the time period was going to go further from this, like there was going to be more after what ends up being the end of the book. And it turns out it's because this is going to be a series. So, a lot of this book is mostly the historical fiction aspect of it. And I thought this book was really good. I wasn't quite as emotionally invested as I thought I was going to be in this book, but I still liked it. So I think I'm going to wait to hear reviews of book 2 to see if I want to continue on with the series. But really cool book. I'm glad I tried it out. Then I went to my local Books-A-Million and checked out their sale section, and I found 2 YA books that I'm really excited to own. One of those is The King of Crows by Libba Bray. This is the final book in the Diviners YA paranormal historical series. This is about a group of teenagers in the 1920s in New York City who find out they have different paranormal abilities, and in each book there is some sort of force that they are trying to fight. And in the first book there is a magical serial killer, essentially. Very Jack the Ripper vibe. I really have enjoyed the first 3 books in this series. I think book 1 and book 3 were fantastic. I have heard that this is by far the worst book in the series. Oh well. I'm definitely not deterred by the reviews. I hope I have an unpopular opinion about this one. And I actually picked up a book I had already read but did not own yet, and this is I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. This was one of my favorite books of, I want to say 2022. This is a YA coming-of-age teen story that absolutely needs to be a movie. This is about Chloe Green, who is in the running for valedictorian, and she's also really big in the theater department, and she has her whole life figured out when one day the popular girl in school, Shara Wheeler, kisses her randomly. And then Shara goes missing, and Chloe is left a letter. And it turns out that this is not the only person that this has happened to. 2 boys that she knows that Shara also kissed and then left a letter. And the 3 of them are going to have to band together to figure out what Shara wants and try to find her. This book is the perfect teen story for me. It is so queer, and it's a lot of teenagers figuring out who they are and what they want. And this book, even though I was into college and everything, older than these characters and everything, this book did so much for me and healed me in ways I didn't know I needed to be healed. It really emotionally impacted me in a very personal way. I listened to this on audiobook, I think from the library, so I'm really glad to finally own it. And, get another book that I know I love onto my shelves. And then from Aardvark, I'm a subscriber of theirs. I have been off and on. I've had 2 different subscriptions from them, and I have liked a lot of the speculative fiction that I've gotten from them. So if you want to try out your first Aardvark box, you can use the link in the description to get your first box for $4. It's a very good deal. But one of my most anticipated books of the year, definitely my most anticipated book of the year that is by an author that I have not read yet, is The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. This is a dark fantasy standalone that has been doing the numbers online. Absolutely one of the most talked about books of the year. And it is about our main character who, out of desperation, she signs up to be a concubine of a prince when the country is about to go to war. And this is also in a world where women are not allowed to read or write. And the magic is surrounding poetry. So she is going to have to learn how to be a poet. The things in this book sound like what A Song to Drown Rivers was promising it was going to be. So I am very, very, very excited. This has like a 4.45 and it just came out a couple months ago. So I'm really excited. I know it's going to be a favorite. I just need to actually get around to it because I don't have distinct plans to read it, except I want to force myself to read it this quarter. So I have like a 5-star prediction read during this time. Then the other book box that I am subscribed to is Book of the Month. And if you would like to get your first Book of the Month's box for only $5, you can check out the link in the description. But it is the 100th anniversary of Book of the Month this year. And so they are releasing these new editions of different books that have been part of Book of the Month over the last 100 years, all of these modern classics so far. And one of them is one that I read in school and absolutely loved and didn't own, haven't returned to, and that is All Quiet on the Western Front by Eric Maria Remarque. I don't know how to pronounce his name other than that. I read this in 10th grade with the best English teacher I ever had, and we had such a wonderful discussion about this book that was very catered to the group that we were in. And this book is about World War I. We're following a group of German soldiers, all young men who go in with light in their eyes, and we see that slowly dim over the course of the book. I'm definitely going to return to this one day, and I'm really excited about that. Then we have an arc that was sent to me by the publisher Orbit. This is Aisha by Soraya Boazui. This is a fantasy standalone that is inspired by Moroccan mythology, specifically the folklore character of Aisha, who is this woman with goat legs, who's like a temptress who kills men. Until recently, there was some white man who had come up with an explanation as to why that myth happened, but there seems to be more recent evidence that this folkloric creature was inspired by a real-life woman who was fighting the Portuguese occupation of Morocco. And so this is about Aisha, whose father is a freedom fighter, her boyfriend is a freedom fighter, her sister's a freedom fighter, and all she wants to be is part of that. And nobody will let her because she's the baby of the family. And she also has a big chip on her shoulder because her mom died giving birth to her. She has something growing inside her, some anger. Unfortunately, this book did not live up to any expectations I had set for it. I think it was written in a really juvenile way. I thought the romance was kind of smushed in there. It was a lot of redundancies, and I never really believed anything that was happening. So this is definitely one that is going to be taken to a little free library in my area. Then I got a couple more audiobooks. One of them was Eleanor and Hick, The Love Affair That Shaped a First Lady by Susan Quinn. This is about Eleanor Roosevelt and Lorena Hickok. Lorena Hickok was a reporter with the AP who got very close to the Roosevelt family during FDR's candidacy and then presidency. And she was very close specifically with Eleanor Roosevelt. And on Lorena Hickok's death, she gifted all of these letters between her and Eleanor to this library and said, you can open it like 10 years after my death. When they opened it, they realized, oh shoot, these are love letters, and that's why she didn't want us to open them immediately. At the time, people just decided to ignore that part of their relationship and try to write around it. This author is actually including the parts about their romantic relationship. I thought that this was a really interesting look at the two of their lives as seen through their letters, because you get a little bit more of an emotional and personal angle rather than just stating the facts as is. You get to see what they were thinking about their pasts when current things were happening. And it also shone a light on a area of history that I have a cursory knowledge of, but like I don't know everything about the New Deal. Specifically, I thought that this pointed out some failures of the New Deal or things that had to be patched up about it. And that was just really interesting to me. I do think that this book kind of loses focus towards the end. They are no longer really in contact at the end of their lives, as they have had to give up their relationship because of who Eleanor Roosevelt is. Otherwise, I think this was successful, and I do recommend the audiobook. Then the next audiobook I got was No Matter What by Cara Bastone, who I had read her 2 previous traditionally published romances before, both on audiobook, and absolutely loved them. So I broke my romance book buying ban that I've sort of put out for myself, but I read it immediately. It's an audiobook. When I buy an audiobook, I immediately read it. So honestly, does it super count? This is about Roz and Vin, who are a married couple. They have been in love with each other and married for many, many years. And part of them bonding was that her best friend is his younger brother, and the two of them both play caregiver roles in his life, not because of any incapability of him, just because he is a little bit less focused in his life. The three of them end up getting into a really bad car accident. The two of them are taking care of him and not focusing on themselves or each other. Now that he has moved out, the two of them don't know how to communicate with each other anymore. And this is a second chance romance about the two of them finding their way back to each other. I absolutely loved every second about this book, which means that Cara Bastone is now one of my favorite authors of all time, having 3 5 stars in a row, 3 for 3. And that also makes her my favorite romance author of all time, because I have never had a romance author go 3 for 3, in my adulthood at least. I absolutely adored this book. This book made me actually sob, which I have not done at a book in like a year. So it's around 130 books ago. I thought these characters were so well done. I love how Cara Bastone is making romance stories out of real life things. And I love the general fiction of her plots. This does have to do with miscommunication because these two have lost communication, but it's not that traditional comedy of errors miscommunication story. It's so healing. It has a little bit of cheese in it, but I think it has the right amount and you will absolutely root for and love these characters. It has a very good discussion about PTSD and how that affects your relationships and depression and all those things. And I just could not talk about this book enough. I love it. Then back in April, I went to my favorite used bookstore and I ended up picking up 2 books. Same situation as last time I went to the bookstore. One book I want to read by an author I've already enjoyed and one book I've already read and loved. So the one that I want to pick up is Britt Marie Was Here by Frederick Bachman. Britt Marie is someone who wants to have absolute control over her life, and when it turns out her husband was cheating on her, she ends up leaving him and moving back to her hometown to take this job as a cleaning person at a rec center for soccer in the area. Things are shaking up in her life and she's going to have to deal with how to roll with the punches. I have now been informed that I should actually read a different Frederick Bachman before reading this one, and guess what? That book was right next to this one on the shelf, so I could have just spent $2 more and buy that book instead of this one, but I had no idea that they were interconnected even at all. Please let me know if you have read Frederick Bachman's books. Is it really going to impact my experience if I have not read My Grandmother Told Me to Tell You She's Sorry? Is that the title of the book? Please let me know if I have to read that before I read this, because that's frustrating because I'm going to own 3 Frederick Bachmans I have not read yet. I guess I have to get moving on my friends. But the book that I had read and already loved is Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bastarrica. This is a novel translated from Spanish that is a dystopian Orwellian horror book where humanity has been seemingly forced into eating only human meat. It is no longer available to people to eat animal meat. And instead of going vegetarian and everything, people have just started eating other people. This is a book that is horrifying. It is one of the most disturbing books I have ever read, and yet I think it is so deeply important for people to read if they can stomach it, and that is a big if. I would never personally recommend this book to anybody because I don't know what people can take, but I thought that this has like one of the most impactful endings of a book I've ever read and just left me gobsmacked, and it's something that I reference a lot. It's something that I would definitely come back to if I felt that I could. Then we have 2 unboxings to do. We have yet another box from Aardvark. This is the April box that I ended up getting. Oh, can you see it? It's upside down. I got Japanese Gothic by Kylie Lee Baker, who is the author of my favorite horror book of 2026 so far. Oh my god, it's signed! Did I know that? That's very exciting. But this is a dual narrative sort of historical horror novel where we have in 2026, a person has been accused of killing his roommate, and he has now fled to his father's new home in Japan. But something is terribly wrong with the house. No animals will come near it. The bedroom window isn't always a window, and a woman with a sword appears in the yard when night falls. And then in 1877, Sen is a young samurai in exile hiding from the imperial soldiers in a house behind the sword ferns. A monster came home from war wearing her father's face, but Sen would do anything to please him, even turn her sword on her own mother. She knows the soldiers will soon slaughter her whole family when she sees a terrible omen, a young foreign man who appears outside her window. One of these people is a ghost, and one of these stories is a lie. Something is hiding beneath the house of sword ferns, and Lee and Sen will soon wish they'd never unburied it. The fact that the idea behind this book is that one of these perspectives is not real, that sounds so good. I actually bought this book before finishing or possibly even picking up Bad Eater, and now that I've read Bad Eater and loved it, I definitely do it again. Then we have my May Book of the Month box. Oh, you can't see inside at all. There you go. I ended up getting two things for myself. One of my most anticipated books of 2026, which is The Last Contract of Asako by Fonda Lee. This is a book that has been pitched as business samurai in space, and our main character is like an aging samurai who has almost put up her sword, but she has one more mission left to do. I've heard really glowing early reviews of this, and I love the Green Bone Saga, so I cannot wait to read another full-length adult novel from her. Honestly, I hate this cover, but I don't care. I got it cheap, so who cares? And the other book I got, this is way bigger than I thought it was gonna be, is Native Son by Richard Wright, which is another one of their Century editions. This is the underneath of Native Son. It is cloth bound actually, and the title is embossed. I really want to own all of these editions, but the third book that they released for this is Brideshead Revisited, which I already own and have not read yet. So do I really want to pay money for that? I don't know. I actually don't know exactly what this book is about, but it's one that I've heard about enough that I want to read it. The dust jacket has notes on the design of the book and not actually the synopsis of it. This was actually the first ever Book of the Month selection by a Black author, and it confronts pressing issues of race, class, and politics through the story of Bigger Thomas, a chauffeur alienated by the social injustices of life in 1930s Chicago. I need to stop buying myself classics because my TBR for classics, it is not getting any better. Let me tell you, I have been reading a couple more classics than usual, but I am not getting through it fast enough. Then lastly, we can talk about all the books that I have gotten for my birthday. I have not met up with everyone yet, so I know that there's actually a couple books that I got for my birthday that won't be in here, but I have to film this video anyway. So first up, I got a couple books from my dad. One of them is Challenger, a true story of heroism and disaster on the edge of space by Adam Higginbotham. This is a nonfiction that is an in-depth account of the Challenger explosion, and as an aerospace engineer, I have been very interested in this book as it has been very popular recently, so I'm excited to read this sometime. Maybe this would be a good nonfiction November read. I'm trying to read at least 12 nonfictions this year, so there's a pretty good chance that this might be one of them. And the next book he got me was Cleopatra by Sara El-Arifi, who wrote The Final Strife, which is one of my favorite books of last year. This is a historical fiction that is a retelling of Cleopatra. Your historians call me seductress, but I was ever in love's thrall. Your playwrights speak of witchcraft, my talents came from the gods themselves. Your poets sing of my bloodlust, but I was always protecting my children. How willfully they've refused to concede that a woman could be powerful, strategic, and divinely blessed to rule. Death will silence me no longer. This is not the story of how I died, but how I lived. And this is just one of the most gorgeous books I've possibly ever owned. Under the Dust Jacket, gorge. I haven't actually heard a single person talk about this book yet, so I am ready to go in with no expectations of what other people think about it and just that I'm excited about it. And the last one he got me was The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark, also a signed edition, which is interesting because it says it's from Evelyn Clark. So did V.E. Schwab write the Evelyn and Kat Clark write the Clark? I don't know. This is a thriller about a bunch of different authors who have been enlisted to try to come up with the best ending for a novel of an author who has passed away. I have actually heard really not good reviews of this book that so many of us were really anticipating. The Literally Dead book club pick for May, and I wanted to read it, but I don't know that I will have time to read it in time for the live show, and I think I'm also busy that day. So I don't know if I'm going to try to shove it into May when I'm already not going to be able to read it for the readathon that I'm hosting. By the way, my readathon is still going on by the time you're seeing this. It is inspired by Game Changer, if you are interested in the show at all. I will link the announcement video in the description, and all of the links will be there. I still absolutely want to give this one a go this year for sure to keep on top of the hype and everything, just to be part of the conversation around this book. Then my mom gifted me A Room with a View by E.M. Forster, which is yet another classic. Guys, I need to pause on the classics. Oh my God, I'm gonna go on a classics book buying ban in 2027. Hold me to it. This book was specifically interesting me because the movie Materialists was partially inspired by the adaptation of this. This is about Lucy Honeychurch, who comes into contact with two different men. One of them is poor, but she loves, and one of them is rich, and she doesn't love, but he could give her a very good life. This is a fairly short classic, although this edition has a ton of words on a page that does discourage me a little bit. This is a classic that I think I could really easily get into. I'm off of the high of reading Far from the Madding Crowd and really loving it. So then my sister gifted me The Names by Florence Knapp. Her gift to me for my birthday was taking me to a bookstore near her that was one of the coolest bookstores I've ever been to. It's the Book Loft in Columbus, Ohio. So cool. And she allowed me to get any book I wanted at the store, and so I picked out The Names by Florence Knapp. This is about a boy who, at his birth, his father, his mother, and his sister each want to name him something different, and it turns out that his name does affect what his life is going to be, and we get to see each of those 3 lives. This is the sort of like almost magical realism-y type book that I think I'm gonna eat up, and very short, well acclaimed. I'm excited. And the very last book that I was gifted has arrived, but not to my current location. My dear friend Katie gifted me a book off of my wish list, which is in the description, which is so very sweet of her. She ended up sending me In Memoriam by Alice Wynne, which I know she has loved. And this is about 2 boys. I think it's during World War I. I don't think it's World War II. I do think it's World War I. So another World War I book on this list, who end up falling in love. I've heard this is very tragic, and I just think that this is like queer historical fiction. Gimme, I'll read all of it. And this is just one of the highest rated books on my Goodreads TBR. I think those are all the books I have to talk to you about today. Please let me know, of the ones that I have not read yet, which ones are you dying for me to read, whether you've read them yet or not. Let me know what books you've gotten recently. And if you don't have anything to say at the end of the video, why not leave me a flower emoji, just like the cover of The Names, just to let me know that you're here. It does help out the channel, as does liking and hyping up the video. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, you can subscribe, you can hit notifications just to find out every single time I make a video. So after all that, thank you so much for watching. And as always, I will see you in the next one.